What is up, guys? Welcome to the Underdog Talk, the world's most underrated podcast on earth. And there's just something about the underdog, but today's guest, law enforcement agent turned entrepreneur, a believer in the unfiltered truth, founder of Aspire Rejuvenation, the new man himself on campus. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tomo. What is up, sir? How you doing today?
Oh man, good morning. It is a beautiful morning here. I'm not sure where you are, but in Florida, it's about 65 degrees right now. So it's chilly, but I'm wearing a sweater. This is crazy, but I love this weather. It's always like 90 degrees, but yeah, man, I'm excited to be on here. You and I have been going back and forth on social media for a little while, and we finally got together to get on this podcast. So I'm excited to have the conversation. I'm excited to talk entrepreneurship. I'm excited to talk about the underdog because that's kind of where I came from the whole time, man. I've been an underdog from when I was a young kid. I've been an underdog from my family lineage. Underdog from being raised in a single mother household. Coming from law enforcement, going into entrepreneurship, it's always underdog. But those are the ones that always end up coming out the best. It's always the struggle that always ends up elevating us the best.
I couldn't have said it better. And that's why I always say there's something about the underdog. They are the hungriest, and that's just the facts. When you have everything to gain and nothing to lose, Tomo, that's when the dog comes out. And now, before we even get into the underdog, I have to pick a bone with you, sir, and I have a confession. You ready?
I'm here.
I was eating bread today.
Bread.
Okay.
I
watched your clip on how you say the government is poisoning our food, and now you got me scared shitless, sir. You got me scared shitless. I was eating that bread. I put it down. I said, no more bread for me today. No more bread. I'm cutting. It was a healthy bread, but still, I look at
Did you look at the ingredient list?
I look at the ingredient, and this is a protein bread. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, shit. What am I putting in my body? What am I putting in my body? And that is where I agree with your video wholeheartedly. And the McDonald's, I've always known they poisoned our food. That's just McDonald's. You go there knowing you're going to get a cheap, simple dish that's cheap, bad for you, and poisoned, probably, yes.
But I paying $1 for it. Yeah, if you're paying $1 for it, it's probably not too good for you.
It's probably not too good for you. I never really fully looked at the ingredient list until your video, and I thought about it, and I really, really do agree with you that there's so much additive stuff in this. So my question to you is, you talk about finding better food and water supplies. Where would one find that? Am I supposed to hunt and kill my own food, Tomo?
Listen, if we really get into the extremes of it, yes. And honestly, if you want to get into the real extremes of it, yeah. If you have the ability to go out during game season and hunt a couple deer, get a few tags, and you can sustainably eat that deer meat that's coming from the wild, not a deer that's like these hood rat deers in the city, you know what I mean? I'm from Cleveland, brothers. There's deer in Cleveland, believe it or not. And these deer are eating like the grass with all the pesticides and everything. That's not the deer you want. You want the deer that's in the woods, or you want the elk that's on the land out in Wyoming and stuff like that. If you have the capability of doing that, yeah, that's going to be the most natural way to get your protein source, right? Eggs are great. Farm fresh eggs are great, but it's about food sourcing, not necessarily just about, what do I buy in the grocery store? Everybody, unless you live in New York City, okay, unless you live in like the big metropolis areas, everybody can go within about 15, 20 minutes of themselves, go find somewhere there's a little farm, find farm fresh eggs, find a place that has cattle, find a place that has chickens. They're slaughtering their meat. Okay, they are eating those chickens. They are getting eggs. They are selling their cows. I buy a half bison every about 4 months. So the reason I don't buy the full bison is because it'll fill all my freezers too quickly. So I go through a company, not sponsored by them at all. I'm friends with them. I love it's a family farm, and they source through different other family farms called North Star Bison, northstarbison.com. It's a little pricey, But if you buy in bulk, if you know, get a couple friends, it'll cost you like 3, 4 grand. Get a few of your buddies and just buy it, put it in a deep freezer. You'll have the best fresh meat, no hormones added, no pesticides, no bullshit, no fillers. That's what you should do, you know? And now you want to talk about vegetables and fruits and grains. You got to source the right places. You got to find stuff that comes from Europe when it comes to grains and flour and stuff like that. I mean, like everybody in my family, uh, we all make our own bread. We will bake bread.
Ooh.
2, 3 ingredients. That's it. It's flour, yeast, and water. You can put a little bit of salt in there too, but it's so easy. People forget how easy it is to actually feed yourself and to get the real food sourcing out there. People are so wrapped up in the convenience of everything, right? We have these stupid items right here, the phone, for anybody that's listening and not watching. This is a convenience item that you can get all information out. Well, they have the same attitude towards everything. Everything is instant, instant, instant. No, it'll take you literally 20 minutes to prepare, maybe 15 minutes to prepare your dough for bread. You let it sit out the old school way, put a towel over so nothing gets on it. You let that yeast rise. Guess what that does? When you leave it out in the open air and you have it covered, it eliminates a large portion of the gluten. And the reason why a lot of these people have all these quote unquote gluten intolerances and all these issues and all these problems with their food is because the way that everything is made and processed is to do it quick. Everything is about speed. So they have to add all these different chemicals and additives in there so they can actually get the product out. But, you know, just like I tell everybody, you can take control of your health. You know, we talk about that at my medical clinics all the time. You can take control of your health even better through your food and water sourcing. And water is just making sure you're not drinking out of certain plastic bottles, BPA free bottles, making sure your water supply at your house is good. It's very expensive, but I suggest everybody invest. And yes, this is an investment in your life and health. Reverse osmosis system, water softening systems, real filtration. So, real filtration systems that actually will eliminate things like fluoride, eliminate things like all the additive chemicals. There's certain things you'll never eliminate. You know, one of the biggest problems in the United States is the hormone declination in men. Why is that happening? There's a prevalence of female hormones in the water supply. They don't get filtered out, people. You want to really blow your mind, I can give you a book called Estrogeneration, and he talks about the phytoestrogens in the environment and also talks about the amount of progestins and estrogens that are being urinated out into the water supply by all of the people in the United States on birth control. Because the young women, as soon as they get their period, what? Oh, I have a cramp. The doctor says, birth control pill, that'll fix it. Guess what? They're urinating those different female hormones out into the water supply. Those don't get filtered out. Why are men's testosterone 75% less than our great great grandfathers? We're being poisoned. We're being fucking poisoned, Teddy.
Well, I will be going to the place where you get your bison from now on. That is damn straight. Now, fuck food. You got me a little hungry again. You're an entrepreneur, a very successful one. Can you describe your business in a few words?
Yeah, so Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic, we started to solve a problem in medicine, in my opinion. I think there's a large problem in medicine where it's become a giant band-aid operation. People that don't realize big medicine, which I call the global medicine, whatever regime, whatever system, right? Your general practitioners, everything like that. They are all owned, bought, and paid for by Big Pharma. Big Pharma writes their textbooks. Big Pharma funds their studies. Big Pharma does everything. Big Pharma is also the largest lobbying firm in the entire United States government. So they didn't just buy and pay for your doctors who basically follow their rules. They bought and paid for your politicians who make your laws about your healthcare and about your wellness. So if you look at Big Pharma in a larger perspective, and again, we can compound on that. Go look at who owns your food companies. You're referencing my video from yesterday. Yeah, the parent companies up here that own these big pharma companies down here, they also own the big food companies. They're the same people. So do you think that maybe there's a relevance saying that company wants you to be eating this shit, so you have to take their medicine? So now you're just a perpetual customer all the way through the life cycle Listen, we're getting into conspiracy theories here. I might be getting a little crazy. We should put on a tinfoil hat, but you know, yeah. I mean, but what my clinic does in a nutshell is look at health in a holistic way.
Yeah.
We focus it around hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Your body is a perfectly running machine. Okay, so just like a car engine, all the fluids in there, when they're all good, your engine runs perfectly. It's a perfectly running specimen, right? That Ferrari motor, you have all those fluids running through your oil, everything like that. It runs perfect. If you start taking those little things out of it, right? You start taking the coolant out of there, the oil out of there, all these things. Those are your hormones.
Yeah.
So for a man, you diminish their testosterone level, which is what happens when you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, right, and older. What starts happening? You have men that have cholesterol issues, blood pressure issues, mental health issues, erectile dysfunction. They start gaining body fat. They start losing muscle mass. They start having osteoporosis issues. All these issues don't exist in the 16 to 25-year-old or 16 to 30-year-old male. Why don't they exist? Because your hormone levels are optimal. So if you look at it from that very simplistic point of view, if we take that 40-year-old man that has all of these medications that they're taking, all of these issues that they have, and we optimize their hormone level just like they were when they were in their early 20s, we have proven, and science proves, that that man will now start to behave physiologically and biologically like a younger version of themselves, which is staving off the aging process, staving off degenerative disease, and literally living a better, healthier life. And it's the same thing for women. Men, easy. Testosterone, we pretty much thrive. Women, testosterone, progesterone, estradiol. We all know women are more complicated. They need a little bit more. But both of them thrive when their hormone levels are optimal. And you can see it clear as day from a woman that is premenopausal, and they're usually doing pretty good, to postmenopausal. Menopause for women, all it is a severe declination in their sex hormones. But we have postmenopausal women come to us, we optimize their hormones back to normal, and they thrive. So that's what we focus on. We focus on regenerative medicine. And, you know, I hate saying anti-aging, but it really is. Hormone therapy is anti-aging. But we focus on the totality of holistic health through hormones.
Wow. I love it. And you know what I really respect about you, sir, is how open you are about the struggles of being an entrepreneur. I think a lot of people hide from what they've gone through, hide from those tough mornings, tough nights, tough fucking afternoons. Shit. Would you mind talking more about the challenges you went through personally? I watched your video where you were sleeping in the office, man. You were grinding 24/8. That's even a thing. You were giving it your all. You know, would you mind talking more about those challenges, sir?
Yeah. So, you know, I went in, I had to go all in. I had to make a decision. When I left law enforcement, I went and worked for a different medical clinic. Did very well there, became part owner, was making, you know, 50% of my salary as a cop every month. Most money I ever made in my life, right? So, you know, I'm making 20, 30,000 bucks a month as a 20% owner of this company. I'm like, this is amazing. This is crazy. So I'm super happy with it. And then I get some bad news. My law enforcement friends tell me there's some nefarious activity happening in this organization, and I have to basically get away from it. It happens, you know what I mean? And the guy who owns that clinic, he was a very good friend of mine. He and I don't get along right now, but if I saw him today, I'd still give him a big ass hug because he gave me the opportunity and he pushed me to where I am now, you know? But I had to leave there and I had two choices: go back to law enforcement, making 60, 70K a year for the rest of my life, right? And be in severe danger and stress. You know, shout out to anybody that's a first responder. It's a hard job. I did it for 12 years, you know? And then my other side of the coin was, well, I can put everything that I have into building a medical clinic the way that I know it needs to be done, because I learned what to do. I also learned a lot what not to do from that situation. So I did the latter, and I put everything that I had, every ounce of money, all of my credit. I did not pay my car notes. I did not pay my mortgage. I couldn't afford groceries several times. I've told stories about, you know, going into grocery stores and having a cart full, and, you know, I'm like, no, I know I have money, and, you know, I have 120 bucks in there. I can buy groceries. And then I decline. I'm like, the hell happened? You know, I know there's money in there. Well, I go and look, And an hour before that, I had an insurance payment come out, and I had like $11 in my account. So I had $11 in my account. I look out embarrassed at a grocery store, Walmart grocery, I think. So cheap grocery stuff too. Wasn't shopping at Whole Foods. So I look at the Walmart cashier and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I just walked out embarrassed. Went home, and I mean, I was literally hungry. But that's what it takes. That's the kind of dedication that it takes. And yeah, that video that I posted whatever how many days ago about crying in my car before I got in the office, and crying in my car after I left the office, because the stress of it for me was very overwhelming, because I've never been in that position before, but it was something that I think I needed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Men thrive in conflict, right? So, any men watching this, men thrive when we have adversity coming at us. You really don't know yourself until you're in a struggle point where you really have to put it all on the line. That's why men in battle, men in the military, you know what I mean? Or men in very serious situations like that, they thrive. We are, well, this is how we're wired. When we talk about the difference between men and women, listen, we're a little psychotic. This is how we love. I mean, like, if me and you were on a battlefield, I will run towards gunfire so I get your respect. That's how fucking twisted we are. You know what I mean? Because it's about that respect matter, and it's about that adversity. It's about overcoming whatever adversity we have. I'm a big believer in stoicism. I'm a very stoic person when it comes to emotion. Like, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I'm like, you don't understand. Like, nothing bothers me. I'm really unbothered. You can burn my house down. You can blow my cars up. You can take every dollar away from me. My business can be closed. Can't take what's up here in my head. I'll get it all back. I'll build every single part back. I'll build a bigger house. I'll buy nicer cars. I don't give a shit. I don't care. That's the kind of mindset that I had when I was building the businesses. That's the kind of mindset I have now with everything. So those struggles really put something inside me where it proved to me that I could pretty much do anything. I'm a fucking cop, bro. I'm a police officer that figured out how to run and open an 8-figure business in 4 years. How the fuck does that happen? I don't even know how I look at it sometimes. And I'm like, whoa, that was cool.
And honestly, I can relate. There have been times where I'm grinding on this podcast day and night. I'm praying to dear God it works out. Do I want to give up? Fuck yeah. But if I give up, then I would be a quitter, and there's nothing worse than a quitter. And that's that idea of delayed gratification, where it will all come. I know it will. It will all come. Now, what would you say to someone who's on the verge of quitting because shit just is not working out? It's not going their way. It's just not in their favor.
You have two sides. You have two sides of the spectrum of how a person reacts to conflict, adversity. And I have a perfect quote that I actually, not a quote, but it's kind of like a saying that I actually wrote down earlier. Something called post-traumatic growth. So you think about your failing. You think about the fact that you are about to quit. So why are you about to quit? What's causing you to quit? The idea of failure is causing you to quit. It's fucking scary, right? So nobody likes failing. It's not a fun thing to experience, but why are you allowing that trauma to push you to that extent? Why can't you twist the idea of, okay, I have this issue, right, that I want to quit with. So I have a business venture, whatever. I have a business venture I want to quit with. Okay, why are you quitting? It's too much time out of my day. I don't have time. Okay, that seems like an excuse to me, right? I don't have enough money. The money thing is a fucking baffling thing for me. If you think you don't have enough money or don't have access to money, you're not talking to the right people. You have to reach out. You have to network. You have to look for other avenues. The reality is that most people quit before they even start trying. And they think they're trying. That's the problem. They think that they're actually in a place where they're like, oh yeah, no, I've tried every single option. I have put every single amount of effort into it. The likelihood is they maybe gave 30%, maybe 50%. Find me a person that gives 100% effort. Find me a person that gives 75% effort towards one thing and doesn't succeed. It's not possible. It doesn't exist. There is no fucking way it can happen. You you have people that are saying, okay, well, I'm putting in all this effort, it's not working out, and this and that. And listen, there are ventures that won't work out.
No.
I just took a $150,000 loss on a venture that I sold. It happens. You know, for me, my accountant's fucking freaking out. My accountant wants to like throw up. I'm like, oh my God, we're taking a $150,000 loss. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, isn't that fucking cool that I can lose 150K and like be okay? That's where my mind went. My mind went into, damn, that's fucking cool. I could do that. I could lose 150K and I'm still okay. I have a house, I have a car, my businesses are still good. This is cool. So it's a mindset, it's a perspective. But people will say like, oh, I put in all this effort, I put in all this time, and I put in everything. They will still go home and watch TV.
Yeah.
They will still go home and they'll still do this, the fucking scrolling, right? They'll still do the scrolling on social media for hours. God, look at your scroll time. You want to see how productive you are? Go look at your screen time on your phone and see what you're actually consuming all day. I purposely tried to limit my social media interaction of me actually being on it, because I don't post everything myself. I have a team that does that for me. I comment myself. I put my stories on myself, but I really don't consume as much content as I could.
Yeah.
But one day I intently said, I'm gonna see how lazy I really am and see how much time I spend on there. And I was intent that I was not going to scroll too much. I wasn't going to be on social media too much. Guess how much time I spent on social media, even with being that intentional with my time?
An hour.
4 hours of my day. I think it was like 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Okay.
3 hours and 50 minutes of my day was on one social media platform or another. Whether it's me getting news, whether it's me watching podcasts, whether it's me something, I am consuming something. And there was almost 4 hours of my day that I spent on this fucking phone consuming content in one way, shape, or form. So when I looked at it in that way, I'm like, okay, if I complain ever that I don't have something, put this thing in a safe, keep it the fuck away from you, put your nose down, get a pen and paper. I'm old school. I don't write notes all the time on a computer. I'm old school. I like to write. It's therapeutic to me. You can't read my writing, but I like to write. And really, if you look at yourself on how much time you waste every single day, how much you sleeping, how many times you snooze your alarm, come on. I laugh at people that say they want to quit something, and listen, there are things you have to quit. There are things you have to give up on. There are failed ventures. That's fine. That does happen. But quitting, the idea of quitting something before you even try, that's the problem with everybody in this modern society. They want it now. They want everything right now. They're not willing to not get groceries. They're not willing to not pay their car note. They're not willing to not pay their mortgage. They're not willing to sleep in the office. They're not willing to cry in the car. They're not willing to do it. So the quitting idea is something that's it's a modern issue that has to do with instant gratification.
Yeah.
Don't want to suffer for it.
And how bad do you want it? I mean, how bad do you want it? I mean, do you want it more than life itself? I think is what it comes down to. I know you do, and I know I want everything. I want more. I want this podcast to be. I grind on it 24/7. There's no time, and I put so much money, effort into it. Yet it's the best thing to ever happen to me, and I can't ever complain about that. Now I'm obsessed with the idea of challenging times because I truly believe that's what makes you into the best version of yourself. A big one to me that I think about is heartbreak for us guys. Heartbreak, getting cheated on. Myself, I mean, I felt heartbroken.
It's my favorite thing in the world, bro. I love hearing that men do this. I love hearing that men get their heart broken.
I have. It hurts. It hurts so bad. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. Why do you think heartbreak hurts so bad and it feels like you have literally physically fucking just been stabbed in the heart. It's almost like I want to be punched in the face, kicked on the ground, spit on, called worthless. I'd rather have that than go through heartbreak. Why is that, sir?
So heartbreak, there's theories out there that, because it's so hard for a man to attract a woman, because it's so hard for, and it is, this is true. I don't know if anybody can actually even debate this with us. We're both in agreement. It's very hard for a man to get the woman he wants, right? Or
Yes.
even get a woman who's, let's say of a higher quality. Okay. It's difficult for a man to do that. For women, especially if they're good looking, they can replace us in fucking 1 second, bro. 1 second. So I would put this out there that men feel more emotional distress post breakup than women do, because women can replace us in a split second. They can have 100 men. I mean, listen, a good looking woman, right? If she puts it out there, I need a man to come over in the next hour. How many men do you think would answer the call? It'd be fucking thousands, bro. It would be ridiculous. The DMs would be going. It'd be ridiculous. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
For us, I don't think it's going to work like that. And we're both good looking, successful men, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't think it's going to work like that in that capacity. So, let's talk about heartbreak and let's talk about what that means to a man. You ever hear the term breakups make bodybuilders?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, the idea breakups make bodybuilders. Why is that a thing? Why is that a saying? It's because if men channel that kind of anger and frustration and sadness in the right way, one of the ways we can do it is in the gym, because men, we like that shit, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of breakups make bodybuilders is a super cool concept, because you can do that in any fashion. I could say breakups make business owners, right? Breakups make billionaires. We can say every single one of them, right? There's a bunch of different B's that we can say that will make a man into something else from a breakup. It's about how we channel that sadness and anger. We can channel it and we can sit on the couch and we can watch fucking sad movies and cry and do all this shit. But if you channel that energy into a positive light, look at it from this perspective. Why did you get broken up with? Why did you get cheated on? So think about this. Like, really, anybody watching this, and you yourself, Teddy, why did that happen? Or why did you not land that girl? Why did this happen? Why did that girl not choose you? Right? So if you look at it and you look in the mirror and say, am I the most desirable man that I could possibly be for myself? Right? Am I putting out that energy where I could be the absolute maximal form of me? You look in the mirror, you probably say, fucking no. Do you have a six pack? Are you fucking rich?
Hmm.
Do you dress well? Are you confident? Are you funny? Are you educated? You could always be more of every single one of those, right? So flip the whole script on it. Flip the whole script. Look at that woman and use that woman as positive energy. I don't give a fuck if you want to be angry or sad or whatever, but divert that energy. Energy does not get destroyed ever. It can only be transferred, right? So you're going to transfer it into sadness and destruction for yourself, or you're going to transfer it into a positive energy and a positive light where that'll never fucking happen again. Because if the Tomo right here that got broken up with or cheated on or didn't get chosen, if that one got that, you better fucking believe the next version of Tomo is never going to experience that again, because he's never going to have those things. He's never going to have those things that might have caused it.
Damn right. Turn that 1 a day into 2 a day at the gym. Turn that 2 a day into 3 a day at the gym. Shit, maybe even turn that 3 a day into 4 a day at the gym. Become better. Use it, because that is the best fuel out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you get broken up with and you're just sitting there crying, you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong. I remember I got broken up with, cheated on. I'm not afraid to admit it. I remember going to the gym twice a day, 3 times a day, working harder on this podcast than I've ever worked before, being a better version of myself, buying nicer clothes, looking better, feeling better. eventually, I'm never letting this happen again. I've learned my lesson. Now,
Mhm.
I actually, speaking of women, you came out with a very interesting video, I think 2 days ago or a few days ago on body count, which I found very fascinating because so many people think it's a taboo subject, don't want to talk about it.
Mhm.
What is your opinion on body count and does it matter, sir?
So this is going to be controversial, but it matters depending on what side of the sexual reference we're talking about. There are, and of course, there are exceptions to the rules. I'm just going to give the rule. There are
Yep.
always going to be exceptions. But for the most part, from multiple women that I've talked to, either in a relationship setting or a friendship setting or just social media, I get thousands of DMs constantly asking me questions about stuff. I'll answer some of them. I don't get to everyone, so I apologize for that. I'm very busy, but I do like to answer them because they are really important questions. And I noticed that I would say over 75% of women do not care about a man's body count, where over 90% of men
Care.
say it is an absolute imperative factor when it comes to choosing a woman. So, and I get arguments, is it fair? Well, why would a man, isn't it a double standard? Well, why would a man want a woman with a low body count when he's not keeping himself at a low body count? Well, it's because the sexual marketplace doesn't demand it. Why would he have to do that when the sexual marketplace doesn't demand the fact that he has to do that? And again, there's exceptions to the rules. There's women out there that are like, no, I don't want a man that slept with 100 women. There's women out there, I don't want a man that slept with 20 women. So but for men, it's kind of like, I'm going to give a really crude example, and it's a really crude saying. What do you call a key that unlocks all doors? Master key, right? You ever hear a key to the city? Master key.
Yeah, yeah,
Key that unlocks all doors, a master key. We can think of a
yeah.
male phallus as that. What do you call a lock that is unlocked by any key? It's a shitty lock.
Ooh.
Crude,
Yeah, I like it though.
but that's how men look at what relationships are. We crave chastity. That's what we like. We want a woman that has not been touched, tainted, anything by another man. I mean, I don't even like my woman to have ever wanted, I don't want to think about that. Like you as a man too, right? Do you ever want to think about your woman having sex with another man?
No,
You
never.
don't want to think about anybody ever penetrating her ever. Like that's fucking mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for women, they don't look at it the same way for the most part. Again, you'll have people arguing this and, they don't look at it the same way. It's also, we are sexual from a physical nature for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes, we have emotions, believe it or not, men have emotions, but from a general standpoint, when we look at sex, we look at it from a very physical form. Women do not for the most part, they look at it from an emotional form. When they have sex with a man, it is a very emotional energy exchange. For men, we're a little more grunty physical kind of thing. We want to go to town. The idea of making love for most men, kind of a foreign concept. You know what I mean? The whole concept of quote unquote making love.
Yeah.
Do we do it? Do we have it? Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience. But the way that we look at sex and the way that we look at that energy exchange, it makes sense. Body count is going to matter more to a man than it is to a woman. What's the right number? What's too much? What's too little? Man, that's up to you. That's up to every individual. I have a number in my head. You probably have a number in your head. Some women, have a number in their head. And again, you may waver on that a little bit, like if let's say your number is you can't have sex with more than 5 men in your life, and then that's okay with me. Some men say zero. Some men, I want a virgin, right? But let's say your number is 5. If you meet a girl and they've had sex with 7 men in their life, but she is perfect in every other way, is that something you're willing to compromise on? Maybe, you know, maybe she's perfect in every fucking way, but she had sex with 2 other guys. Is it a deal breaker for some men? Maybe.
Yeah.
Would it be a deal breaker for me if my number is 5 and she had sex with 7? Maybe not. Now, if my number is 5 and she had sex with 20, 50, 70. Listen, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like we're getting to extremes. Like you've already had sex with 90% of the city. We need to go backwards.
And I was gonna say my thought process would be like, shit, how can I be the best if she or he has been with so many other guys? I mean, I guess if they have that two extra, you just got to be confident in that situation. If hypothetical, they have two more than what you want, say they're at seven, you're at five. Yeah, I guess you got to be confident in that situation. I think something that people often do struggle with is confidence, especially men. Let's just say how it is, and to you, sir, what is confidence and what is the key for confidence, sir?
So, that's the thing. And I mean, I hate to even bring him up because it might trigger people again, but our buddy Andrew, um, I'm not going to say his last name in case this gets on TikTok because they'll flag us. But, oh, yeah, yeah, I noticed that recently. My PR team told me. So, but our buddy Andrew, who, everybody knows he's a hyper masculine, very successful kickboxing champion who has become one of the top Google people in history. He talks about building your character, not character as in like our character personally, talking about like a video game character. As a man, we are and we can look at ourselves as building like a video game character. So for all these people that are younger that are watching this, if you ever played a video game, you have all these things you can level up, right? You can buy all these different things, you can earn all these different things. So if you look at yourself from a confidence standpoint, where's your character? Are you at level 100? Probably not. Maybe you're at level 5. How do you get to level 10? How do you get to level 20? How do you keep leveling up that character, that personality to get yourself to a confidence point where it doesn't matter anymore? I'm not at 100. I would never, I probably will never get to 100. I probably keep lowering the bar as I keep going, right? So maybe that 100 is never a reachable goal, but I'm to a point where I'm confident where I can walk into any room where I feel like I look a certain way. I feel like I've attained a certain level of success. I feel like I have the right connections and people and intellect where you can't scare me in any situation. You can put me in rooms with leaders of the world. You can put me in rooms with the richest men in the world. I'll hold my own. I might even school them a little bit. I don't have a problem. I'm good, but I wasn't that person 2 years ago. I wasn't that person 5 years ago. I sure as fuck wasn't that person 15 years ago. I'm older. I'm 38. So I've lived a little bit of life. So I've had those points where I've had lower confidence, and every time that I saw that, I'm like, why am I not confident? Because I'm 6'3". I'm 220 pounds, relatively muscular, relatively lean. Fuck, what do I have to complain about? But still, there's something up here for men where we know there's something lacking. We know there's something to improve. So self-assessment constantly. That's a constant thing. It needs to be something that is on every man's mind. When we get comfortable, this is my personal opinion. When we get comfortable as men, we start to kind of die a little bit. We thrive in striving to do better. We thrive in a place where we are always conquering obstacles. So, if you want to look at confidence, shit, we're simple. Keep leveling up your character. That video game character, keep leveling them up little by little. Read an extra book, more intellect. Connect with a different person. Go out to that networking event, that business event. Go to the gym. Fucking go to the gym. Eat healthier. Say no to the fucking cupcake. Have delayed gratification. Say no to that cheeseburger, and level up that character to a point where you're like, I'm unfuckable with.
I love it. And I do have one final question for you. You're a very successful entrepreneur, man who's worked his ass off, no question. What is your biggest tip for someone who is looking to start their own company like you once were, sir?
So there's two different schools of thought. There's a school of thought of find something that will make money and be successful. So like if you look at people like, all right, well, I know that I don't know. Well, I'm going to make silly examples. I know coffee shops make money, but I don't even drink coffee, right? So you can look at it from that perspective, right? So all right, I know coffee shops make money. I don't even like coffee. I think coffee tastes like shit, but I'm going to go build a coffee shop because I know it makes money. You know, that's one school of thought. It's not one that I necessarily agree with. I agree. I agree with the idea that passion fuels everything. That if you are truly passionate about a subject, that if you understand that you will love it even when it's really hard, it makes the process so much easier. And we all have unique gifts. You know, my unique gift is not owning a medical clinic. It's not. But my unique gift and my passions in health, in wellness, in hormones, in speaking about this. You know, when I worked for that clinic originally, when I left law enforcement, I'm not a practitioner, I'm not a doctor. I was doing sales and marketing. I was marketing it, so I was talking about it. I'm putting out videos, I'm putting out content, I'm establishing relationships. This is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, "Oh my God, you're on camera all the time. You're doing these podcasts." And I have my own podcast. My studio's right back here. So I have my own podcast studio. I'm doing podcasts with you. I have another one at 11 o'clock that's going to be here live in the office.
Let's go.
And people are like, "Man, it's exhausting how you're doing that." I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, I love doing it. This is literally what I enjoy doing. You know, I did acting and modeling when I was a cop when I was younger in my 20s. So I was a fitness model and I was in a few movies, a couple commercials, a couple magazines, you know, stuff like that. I've always enjoyed it. It was always very fun to me. But that was all about advertising and all about somebody else's passions and drive.
Yeah.
Being able, I mean, podcasting in general, you know, you being able to talk about this stuff, me being able to talk about stuff that I like. This is a whole new realm.
Yeah.
Where somebody like me and you can get so much information out there and we can really put our platform out there. And who are we? Bro, I'm fucking nobody. I don't know. Who am I? You know what I mean? It's like I'm not a world leader. I'm not some Hollywood actor. I'm not some famous person, but we can use these platforms to put this information out. And I mean, listen, I'm of the mindset that you can learn from absolutely everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. I will sit and have a conversation with a janitor. I will sit and have a conversation with the COO of a company. And sometimes the idea from the janitor is fucking better. And sometimes the idea from the COO is going to bankrupt your fucking company.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, going into a business idea, going into anything, follow your passion. Find what your unique ability is. That's huge. I have a unique ability that I'm able to speak to people. I feel like I'm a good communicator. I feel like I can put, you know, information out there. I enjoy being on camera. So I feel like I have a unique ability to do this. Other people may not. Other people, you know, don't try to be me. Don't try to be you. Try to be who you really are. So if you really fucking love painting, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make money in this. Doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. You may need to have a job so you can fund your life, so you can make sure that you can live and eat and have a house, but you need to be fucking painting. And you better not be going home and watching TV or scrolling on fucking social media. You need to be putting everything that you can into that craft, honing what your unique ability is, because that's what's going to make you really successful. Maybe not monetarily right away, but up here, up here and in here. Up in your head and in your heart, that's where success really lies, you know? So, you know, find your unique ability, recognize it, double, triple, quadruple down on it. I do not have certain abilities in my business. I don't consider myself a good manager sometimes. So what did I do? I hired fucking excellent managers.
No.
You know, I don't consider myself good with computers. What did I do? I hired a fucking great IT guy. I hired a great web guy. I hired a great social media guy. This is what it's about, putting the right people in the right places and living in your unique ability so you can thrive. You know, don't be greedy. Don't try to do it all yourself and keep everything yourself. You'll never go far that way. Find the right who's to do the right hows, live in your unique ability, and you're going to thrive.
Damn right. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Aspire Rejuvenation Clinic. I mean, sir, it has been such an honor and privilege talking to you, learning from you. Now, before we go, the floor is yours. Where can we find your content? Where can we find all your links? I mean, the floor is yours, sir. I know you got a lot going on for you. Where can we find all your stuff, sir?
So you guys can find me at tomomarjanovic.com. I have a website, and
Oh,
links to all of my socials are on there. So if you go to my website, tomomarjanovic.com, you'll see everything on there. You can find me on YouTube. It's Tomo Talks. You can find me on Instagram and all our social media platforms at Tomo Marjanovic. Fairly easy to find me. And yeah, the clinic, aspirerejuvenation.com. We just came out with a brand new supplement line linked with world renowned fitness coach AJ Sims. We also have, I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans, Elias from the WWE.
oh yeah.
He is also a partner in the company. So we're starting this new company. It's called Cement Factory Nutrition.
All that.
It is debuting at Mr. Olympia, which we will be sponsoring in a few weeks here in Orlando, Florida. So if anybody's going to come down, come find our booth. We have a huge Aspire Rejuvenation booth. We'll have a bunch of athletes there, a bunch of celebrities popping by. It's going to be really cool.
Wow. 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 Shit. Wow. At the Mr. O2. That's the place to be, ladies and gentlemen. All those links will be in this YouTube bio. Please check out Tomo. I mean, I have nothing to say but extraordinary gentlemen. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. I mean, thank you, sir, for coming on, taking your time. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this podcast. Until next time, guys, Underdog